Welcome to Views from the 22, presented by The Scene. I am your host, Germ So True, alongside Mo Schefter and Vic Jr. Just make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, The Scene, all that good stuff, Views from the 22 channel as well, and The Scene also on Facebook, all that other stuff coming soon. So today is show number 3 of our series of covering the 8 divisions in football. So what we're going to do, without further ado, is we're going to cover the AFC East, the former home of the GOAT. So with that being said, we're going to start with the former home of the GOAT, the New England Patriots. So let's start with the loss.
Yes, sir.
I said the loss first. So just so y'all know, the loss means the loss. And then go ahead.
Well, the loss, the most obvious one, obviously, is that German is referring to, is to the 6-time Super Bowl champion, 4-time Super Bowl MVP, Thomas Edward Patrick Brady. But that's not what we're going to focus on right now, because we know that. We know he's moved on. We know they've moved on. Well, at least they want to make it seem like they've moved on. But other than 12, the Patriots have had some very significant losses. And I'm going to just start with Jamie Collins, Danny Shelton, Deron Harmon. Those are 3 essential pieces to that defense. Those are 3 pieces that help that defense make up their identity. And they're all going to Detroit, to Matt Patricia, former Patriots defensive coordinator. Kyle Van Noy, Elandon Roberts, and Ted Karras have all gone to the Dolphins. Who's in Miami? Brian Flores, Patriots former defensive coordinator. They also lost Steven Gostkowski. He signed with the Titans. Who's there? Mike Vrabel, former Patriots defensive captain. So you look at Jamie Collins, Kyle Van Noy, Danny Shelton, Deron Harmon, Elandon Roberts. Those are 5 essential pieces to that defense and special teams that are now gone. And then you look at the COVID list, the opt-out list. It's worse than the players they actually lost. They got Patrick Chung, a guy who's crucial to the identity of that defense, especially the man coverage philosophy that they've developed since 2014. They lost Marcus Cannon, and I think we can all agree they are in no position to lose any of their starters on that offensive line. They lost Brandon Bolden, who is, again, a quality depth on that running back position, also special teams captain, and we know how much Belichick stresses special teams. And as if it's not bad enough, you lost your most important person on offense. If it's not bad enough, you lost your quarterback on offense. Now the most important piece of that defense for the last 7 years is opting out for this season in linebacker Dante Hightower. And listen, he doesn't get the credit, nor the acknowledgement, nor the recognition of Luke Kuechly or Bobby Wagner, okay? But you want to talk about making big plays when it matters the most? There is nobody who's been more valuable to that defense than Dante Hightower. Period, point blank. More than Stephon Gilmore, more than Darrelle Revis, more than Devin McCourty, more than all those guys. As great as they are, Hightower was that centerpiece. So those are in all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 defensive starters that are no longer there in New England.
And these are some beautiful things about this whole process of the offseason. We get to try to see what they had added to cover up for some of those losses. Now, with New England, in their case, they don't always particularly draft well, but they do get underrated talent. And in the free agency, what they did was, of course, they re-signed Devin McCourty and Joe Thuney back. They brought those 2 guys back, which is really, really key pieces, because Thuney last year was the best offensive lineman for that team. But also they brought in Lamar Miller, and then they brought in Cam Newton. Now, the Cam Newton thing that's going on here is, I'm really interested to see what offense they decide to run moving forward, because Cam is not notorious for the EP system as Brady was. And Cam is normally in some type of RPO-driven West Coast or something of that nature type of an offense. And I just want to see what all they decide that they want to do with Cam outside of the bootlegs and the rollouts, considering he's below average in the pocket. So those are the things that New England has constructed their team around. over the last 20 years. I just want to see what the new wave or the new evolution is. Cam has been named a starter. So with that being said, Vic, Mr. Scout Extraordinaire, who did they pick up in the draft to maybe maybe cushion some of these losses that they?
So yeah, it's interesting. You talked about the system and things like that and what they're gonna do. It does look like Bill was gonna stick with that two tight end, that 12 personnel. One back, two tight ends that they use a lot of. They got a lot of snaps with the 12 personnel. They drafted two kids in the third round that are gonna play the tight end position, and there's some good word about those kids possibly starting immediately. You got the UCLA tight end, Devin Asiasi. Okay. I didn't get to study that kid, but I did study the second third round pick in Dalton Keene, Virginia Tech tight end. That's a very interesting prospect right there. He might have gone earlier than a lot of scouts had him, but that's a kid that has lined up at fullback, at H-back, in line, and also as a joker moving around from each end of the field and stuff like that, lined up out wide. So they're definitely going to use 12 personnel. Cam is known for using his tight end a lot, is known for using his running back a lot. So that part of the system of the EMP is going to be interesting to see how they implement how many pass plays go to the tight end, how many pass plays go to the running back for Cam. So, but real quick, their second round pick, Kyle Duggar, safety. They had safety depth until Mo said about Patrick Chung now on the COVID list. But Kyle Duggar, very, very raw safety. This kid that does not have much experience at the position, but the little bit that he's shown last year in his junior year, the kid was phenomenal. He basically was playing in the box. He was playing deep. This is a kid with speed, with a lot of agility. He can cover a lot of ground. So it's going to be interesting to see when he starts and how he develops in the NFL with Bill Belichick and that defense.
No, I mean, absolutely. And I just think, Jeremy, I'm going to just take it and give my prediction on it for New England. Did you did the free agency stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, with the Cam Newton. So I think when you take into account everything that you guys have said on the past 5-6 minutes, there's a lot of questions heading into this season. And I think in general, when you look at the pandemic, there's just a lot of questions in general for any team. I think the one thing New England is going to have advantage with this year is their preparedness, because I do think Belichick is a master when it comes to getting a football team prepared, when it comes to game planning. But I just think with the amount of losses on defense and with really no major improvement to your offense, I don't see how this team is going to get any easy wins. I think they'll be competitive, and I think they'll win some games, but I just don't see this team being that type of team where, walking into New England, you got to put up 24 points just to compete. That era is gone. We had a conversation off the air about this the other day about we looked at some scores, man, and there were years where it was like 28, 35, 41, 49, 56, and that was year in and year out and week in and week out. So I think those days are over. I think they're going to be winning games 23-17, 19-10, 21-20, 19. I think you're going to see a lot of 19. I think you're going to see a lot of games where you might have 4 field goals and 1 touchdown, and that's your 19 points right there. So it's going to be a grind for them. It's going to be fun to watch. I certainly can't wait to see the Cam Newton and Bill Belichick experience, just to see how it all plays out. But I'm truly not expecting more than 8 wins for this football team.
It's going to be tough because again, what Cam does well is playing on the move, rolling out or getting out in space, using his size and stuff like that. But is that something you want to risk with him? You know what I mean? At this age, at this stage
Right.
of his career in which he's already gotten hurt. You know,
Right.
so again, being a pocket passer is such an important thing. It's such a very underrated thing based on the fact that everybody's so infatuated with the guy that can get out of the pocket and make plays out of the pocket. So we'll see how that works out.
Absolutely. And for me, I just think it's going to be a tough year for them in general. I don't see them winning more than 5, 6 games. At the end of the day, I know some people are hyped. They say that they're excited to see what's going on with Cam Newton. Cam is just Cam. I don't think he's a bad player. I just think the quarterback position just requires you to do a lot of things. And unless that defense is pitching shutouts, I mean, unless they're lights out, I think it's going to be a struggle for that team this year as they find a new identity on offense. So I'm going to most definitely just say that the Patriots will not be that good this year. 5 or 6 wins for me. Next, let's slide over there to the Jets, and let's talk about that team over there.
So the Jets, I'll start with the draft. I mean, they got one of the best tackles that we liked in that draft. Mickey Becton, left tackle out of Louisville. This kid, we're talking about 6'8", about 360 pounds, probably going to be one of the biggest tackles you'll ever see. Denzel Mims, second-round pick, one of my favorite receivers. He is a product of the Baylor system in which they use a lot of vertical routes. He's not asked to run the whole route tree, but some of the routes that he was asked to run, he showed some good movements, some good releases, a good job causing separation or creating separation with his hands and quickness. So I really like Denzel Mims. I'm pretty sure you're going to talk about the biggest loss that they had this offseason coming up in a second. But they got Ashton Davis in the third round to cover for that. Of course, the Jamal Adams loss is going to be big. So Ashton Davis, he is a pretty good safety. He's probably not like, Jamal Adams, but they got themselves a good kid there. They're probably going to play some free safety. Robbie Anderson is also a receiver that they lost, but they were able to back that up with a Brashard Perryman signing and a Dante Moncrief signing. So I think there's a lot of depth there to go along with Denzel Mims at the receiving position. George Fant is going to add some beef to the tackle position. They also got Joe Flacco and Frank Gore. So basically some insurance to back up, whatever Sam Bradford does. Is going to be interesting to see how Bradford develops. Is he going to stay at the level that he was last year, or is he getting better? I know German and I weren't a big fan of his work. Mo might say a little bit different, but again, it's going to be interesting to see what his development is for this season.
All right, and we got the Miami Dolphins. I was going to say another thing, but I don't think that's appropriate for TV. But go ahead, the Miami Dolphins.
Oh man, listen. So Miami
Happy Sharks,
bro, they got a junior Patriot squad over there in Miami. They did lose some guys, but same thing. I like when I see. I mean, listen. Some guys have more value for other teams than they do for the team that they currently on. It's just the way it happens in football, right? So the Dolphins, they don't have Rashad Jones anymore. Taco Charlton is gone, former Cowboys high draft pick. He's now in Kansas City. Charles Harris is gone, another defensive end. He's now in Atlanta. Balaj is gone. He's now with the Jets. But they added some guys. Free agency, they spent the big money on Byron Jones. They also went and got Kyle Van Noy from New England. They got Emmanuel Agba and Shaq Lawson. They gave Shaq Lawson $10 million a year. So, and they also added Eric Flowers. And they gave a lot of these guys money. They just wrote checks. And that's because they had the space to write checks. It's not very often you see a team with high draft capital and a lot of salary cap. But usually if you have those two things, you've been sucking for a while. And that's exactly the case here in Miami. So they just had to get players. They had to show they're willing to pay. And in the draft, they got what they wanted for their long-term future. They got Noah. I can never say his name. Igbenegene from Auburn, physical corner, and he's gonna add to a very expensive secondary is Xavier Howard and Byron Jones. They also drafted 3 linemen, offensive linemen, which you can never blame a team for drafting beef. And then they got Tua, which we don't believe in him here personally at Views. But listen, you take a quarterback, we're going to sit and wait and be patient and see how it plays out. Because if it pays off, who gives a damn if we're wrong? They're going to be sitting pretty. You know what I mean? So I think Miami is in one of those positions where they're in transition. They're trying to see if they can build a foundation. But one thing is for sure, and Brian Flores is establishing a culture down there in Dade County, and he deserves a lot of credit because they were ready to throw in the white flag last year. And I think eventually what he was trying to preach stuck to some of these players. And you saw Miami nobody wanted to play Miami the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season. And there was good reason for that. So I'm again, this division, you might need only 8-9 wins to win this division this year. And I'm not saying Miami's going to be in contention, but I think Miami's going to be playing meaningful games in that division come November, come December, and anything can happen. I will say this. If they decide Ryan Fitzpatrick is a full-time starter, I may have to put him in as division winners. If Tua's starting, then no. But if Fitzpatrick starts, I'll be inclined to pick him to win that division. What you got on Buffalo, Jerm?
Circle the wagons. All right, y'all. Buffalo Bills, the ones that reside on the opposite side of New York. But anyway, the good side. We're going to call it the good side. Because that looks like the best football we're going to get out of that state this year. First of all, what we add is we added Mario Addison, which helps with some of the losses that we're going to highlight in a second. They added Stephon Diggs and they added Josh Norman to that secondary, which I think is essential to what they already have with my guy Tre'Davious White. Just give him somebody to run with, and he'll be perfectly fine. They lost Lorenzo Alexander, Jordan Phillips, the defensive lineman, and also Frank Gore. Why I'm saying Frank Gore is a loss is because obviously Frank Gore played pretty well for them last year, but I do think it was time for them to make the way for young Devin Singletary as well. And they also, in the draft this year, they took Zach Moss, the highly productive kid from Utah, who I think has a very, very bright future. Also, they took Jake Fromm, which is the insurance policy, to Mr. I can throw the ball. I can't throw the ball 5 yards sometimes, and I like to run the ball. Mr. Hold on. I can't get his name.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen. I can't even remember this dude's name right now.
That's crazy. I thought you were trying to make a joke, to be honest
No,
with
no.
I could have helped out.
His name escaped me that fast,
That's
y'all.
funny.
But Josh Allen in particular, listen, we scouted this kid extensively. The arm strength is probably top 5 in the world, period. It's not really a question. The things that he struggles with is obviously trusting his eyes and seeing what's in front of him. So this is why Jake Fromm, being the guy he is, has a chance to come in and really make something interesting here in this quarterback competition. With Stephon Diggs and Smoke Brown and those guys that they have there, he kind of has a little bit less of an excuse. I would like to see a little bit more offensive line help, but we're going to let that be. But the biggest draft pick of them all is Mr. A.J. Espenza from Iowa. I think
Espinoza.
Espenza.
Oh, no, yeah, you're right. Hold on. Espinosa.
Espenza. Hey, I only know it's Espenza because what's his name did it on the draft thing, the draft combine.
They pronounce it wrong.
Really?
Yeah, Vic's got the proper pronunciation.
Okay, say it again.
Espinosa.
Okay,
hey,
that dude.
Hey,
so with that being said,
go ahead.
With that being said, he's a fairly solid player as well. What I like about him is he's going to be very strong against the run. He's going to fit into that Bills defense because he has the same identity as they do. Physically tough player. He has extensive strength, especially against the run. The only problem that we have is the front line speed and explosiveness, and the lateral quickness and things of that nature. But I mean, I think he can fit just fine in with this Buffalo culture that added last year. Ed Oliver, who I think is one of the most explosive three techniques we've seen in a long time.
Yes.
So with that being said, offensively, they're really Josh Allen and bust. If he plays well, they're going to be able to win some games in this division. Defensively, I still think they'll have a top 10 to 7 unit in the league.
Yes.
I think they're very, very good. They're well coached. They have a lot of good pieces. They have a lot of chess pieces. And chess pieces mean they can use them in many different ways to capture people's kings, and quarterbacks is what I mean by kings. So I look forward to seeing this team. I think they can get 10 wins. I think they can go 5-1 in this division because it's a chance they can. Handle your business, go 5-5 outside of your division, and we make the playoffs. Circle the wagons, Buffalo.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think Buffalo wins that division. I think Vic, who do you think wins that division?
Yeah, I'm going with Buffalo too. The Espinosa draft pick is huge because I feel like they felt like they needed to improve in the run game, and I think that's where he's going to come into play. He might play a little bit of left side or some strong side defensive end because pretty much everybody else on that line are more speed guys, more pass rushers. Now you add somebody that's going to help stop the run in Espinosa, and that's what he does. I think he was probably one of the best run stoppers in this draft. So that's a big piece for that defense. Like you said, they can easily be top 5 with a good pass rush, good run defense, good secondary. So I definitely got the Bills. The Dolphins, though, man, like the Dolphins could push for second place, bro. I like the opportunities that they have. The talent is definitely there on paper. The beef up front has gotten better on both sides. But I really like what Devontae Parker and Preston Williams have been able to do as receivers as well. Mike Gesicki, tight end, that was a kid out of Penn State that we really liked. So he's improving as well. So it's going to be an interesting football team for the Dolphins as well.
The only thing I say with the Dolphins is this. The Dolphins don't match up well with the Bills because the Dolphins are good. The Dolphins are good in the secondary, and the Bills are going to be good with hitting that front seven in the mouth with some of these plethora of running backs. So that's going to be my key. They did trade away some linebackers too. They traded away Raekwon McMillan, I think it was, this year. So it's only really Jerome Baker and a couple other guys there that are going to be interesting. Charles Harris is another guy I'm interested to see. So at the end of the day, this is what it is. But we got Buffalo winning the division. I really don't care about the rest of the division, so I'm sorry to be like that.
I think they let Charles Harris go. Remember, they just released him.
Well, we'll get
but they got Shaq Lawson.
Yeah, we'll get to him for sure later. But with that being said, make sure you guys check out the next show. In particular, we will have a show number 4. Next show, NFC South. I know you guys should be prepared for that one. It's a lot of good stuff to talk about there. The Scene, THESCEN. Make sure y'all check us out. This is Views from the 22. Make sure you come subscribe to the group. And most importantly, just keep on hitting that notification button. Make sure you keep on catching this content. We're going to keep on dropping it on you. Have a nice one. We out.